Well, hi, everyone. Hold on, let me adjust my screen. All right. So can you all see me okay? Is that working?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So uh, I'm here to talk about the Ives Kromskop. It's a stereoscopic viewer. And here's physically what it looks like. I got to go a little farther back here to show it to you. Two-lensed viewer. And the reason it's so elaborate looking is this was patented in December 18th, 1894. And it's one of the earliest color processes. Before they came up with, at least 10 years later, the autochromes and ways of getting all the color onto one single plate. This used, let me look at my notes here, red, green, and blue filters to expose three separate images into what he called a chromogram. And this is a chromogram. And so each of these black and white stereos was exposed through a different color filter. And it's a little hard for me to physically show you, but it fits into the viewer like this. So one of the images is here, one is here, and one is on the top. And inside, there are reflective color filters, and there's more filters inside the viewer and on underneath the glasses, the glass where they are. I'll show you a diagram when I share my screen, but I wanted you to see it physically first. And now I'm going to share my screen. Hold on. All right, so are you all seeing that? The Kromskop? Vanessa?
Yes. Yes. Sorry. Yes, we're seeing it. I was
Okay,
muted. Sorry.
great. Okay. So again, that's what it looks like. And in this case, I don't know if you can, well, so laying across the top, something I don't have on mine is the hood, which you see in this photo. And also laying across the top is a piece of opal glass. And that was to diffuse all of the light going in through all three locations that need to be lit. There's a mirror at the far end reflecting light into that image. And this this image here shows you the layout where you had a red filter at the top, then it would go through a clear glass down to a blue filter, which reflected through the lenses. Then there was a blue one. And then at the last third one was the green that had a yellow reflector. So this shows you the complicated path of all of these. And when all three, or in this case, 6 images, 3 stereo pairs, if they were all lined up perfectly, you would get a color image. And sorry, I'm gonna have to go through a few things. So this is part of the structure that's inside the reflectors. Here's a stereo view of it. I'll leave it on for a second for those of you that want to parallel view it. And then this shows, so the 3 image or 3 stereo image thing was called a Kromogram. And that shows the layout. And this is a representation where filters have been added just to show you what each of the 3 colors would be. And the chromogram, each of the stereo pairs is connected by a little silk ribbon to hold them all together. And this is what it said on the back of one chromogram. And here's an example of the three black and what they would have looked like combined. Now, these days, photographically, the alignment to get the color image can be done much more precisely than it was ever possible to do in the viewer. It was really tough to get all three images lined up just right, but did work. And this is again diagram of what it looked like. Oh, this was an optional light box that was made to go with it, a diagram of it. And that's me holding it. And so most of the information I've got on this, it was published in Stereo World in the March-April 1988 issue. And this was also the very first color issue of Stereo World. Before that, it was always all black and white publication. And that cover photo is a chromogram where all three black and whites have been combined and colorized properly to create the final color image that you would have seen. And that's the cover photo. And here's the article. And that also brings up, let me get a larger enlargement. This shows the camera. Now, this is the mono camera. They made a mono and a stereo version of the Kromskop. And I assume the stereo version was two of these side by side, or else slide bar shifted stereo pairs. But the camera had three lenses, and there were prisms and filters inside to do each of the three black and white. So to do three black and white images at the same time, but each is taken through a colored filter. And then when viewed back through those filters and superimposed, that's what creates the final color image. So here's another example of a side-by-side that's been colorized. I mean, not the way you would have seen it. So theoretically, how it would have looked in the viewer. And this was an earlier interior design. And so really, it's mainly a show and tell, and showing this process. So I don't know how many of these were made, but they were only made for a couple of years. If anyone is interested, I'll put my email in the chat, and I'll be happy to send you a PDF of the article that was written by Paul Wing, that from the Stereo World magazine, that can tell you more detail about the Kromoskop. And you know, again, they only made them for a couple of years. It was very complex. It was not cheap. The chromograms are pretty rare. We only have one, and we knew one other person that had one of these, and he had about 10 of the chromograms. And we bought ours at a camera show in England, but they were marketed in the US, but I think they were actually made in England, all of them, even though they had a USA distributor. So that's the Stereo Ives Kromoskop. And that's really my whole presentation. It's very short.